The former top lawyer of the Israeli military has been arrested over a leaked video showing Israeli soldiers brutally assaulting a Palestinian prisoner. Major General Yifrat Toma Yerushalmi resigned last week, saying she took full responsibility for the leak. She's now being detained on suspicion of obstruction of justice and breach of trust. Well, the footage was leaked back in August 2024, and it shows Israeli soldiers dragging and allegedly sexually abusing a Palestinian prisoner, hiding their actions behind riot shields. All right, let's cross over to Noor Oda, who's in Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. Noor, I think it's fair to say that when this video was leaked to the media and internationally, it confirmed something human rights organisations in Israel, organisations like B'Tselem, had been aware of for some time. That rape and allegations of degrading forms of torture were reportedly being used against Palestinians in Israeli detention. And now news that the source of the leak was an Israeli military legal chief. Netanyahu, though, is simply calling this a media failure. Walk us through the waves this case is creating in Israel.
Well, this is creating really a political and legal storm in Israel, and Niamh. On the one hand, you have the Israeli government coalition accusing this top general, the chief military advocate, of blood libel against the Israeli army, of defaming Israeli soldiers. Netanyahu went as far as saying this was the most dangerous assault on Israel's image since its establishment, and many in Israel are hesitant or really fearful, actually, of the fact that maybe Netanyahu and his coalition partners will use this as an excuse, as a pretext to introduce the changes they wanted in the Israeli judiciary, but also in the Israeli military. There is so much focus on the fact that this video was leaked at the expense of discussing how this crime actually happened, and the fact that the UN says these kinds of crimes are being committed in a widespread and systematic manner. So in one way, it's an opportunity to kind of escape, to run away from these kinds of crimes that are happening, to deny that they're happening, by focusing on this woman, on the fact that she leaked the video, even though, ironically, she was accused of shying away from opening investigations into abuses carried out by the Israeli army, precisely because she was afraid of the backlash of the Israeli right wing.
Anor, we know that 5 reservists were indicted back in February for aggravated abuse and serious assault, February this year, I should say. So in a way, this leak has allowed Israel's justice system to go after wrongdoing in its own ranks, in its own facilities. And now, ironically, the source of that leak is also facing justice. I wonder if one case affects the other, whether one entirely eclipses the other, whether it undermines this case against the reservists.
It's certainly eclipsing the case against those reservists, and it may, in fact, undermine the case against them. They appeared masked in a press conference yesterday for fear of being recognized and facing prosecution internationally. Because remember, Niamh, Israel is under investigation at the International Criminal Court. It's still facing charges of genocide at the International Court of Justice, and in both courts, Israel had claimed that it has an independent judiciary, that it has thorough and robust investigations within the military law enforcement mechanism, and that it didn't need to face scrutiny by international courts. This prosecution of the military advocate, this focus on the leak rather than the crime, will certainly have implications at The Hague, where those investigations are ongoing, and that explains again why those soldiers appeared with face masks, wanting to avoid anybody recognizing who they are.
So the Journal of Death and Dying recently this year of 2025 came out and expressed what Health Canada's plans look like to save money. They are on track starting 2027 to 2047 to save $1.273 trillion by providing 14.7 million Canadians with MAID rather than palliative care.
What was that number? Say that?
14.7 million Canadians Over 9 million of those are projected to be elderly. Over 4 million of those are projected to be the mentally ill and suicidal. Over 300,000 of those are projected to be the Indigenous population, and then everyone else, addicts, homeless, and otherwise. So Canada's running a eugenics program, and they're planning to expand that with the start of a mentally ill only qualification in 2027. And for those that are find those stats as disgusting as I do, you can go check out on the SAGE Journal or the Journal of Death and Dying. They break it all down for you. They go through the numbers. We've also done it on the series as well.
Can you give me an example of a food that's a vaccine?
Yes, sir. University of California, Riverside has already perfected the ability to put human vaccines into our lettuce right now. Also tomatoes has the ability to do that also for UC Berkeley. And then Big Tobacco, RJ Reynolds and stuff has perfected the ability to put a human vaccine into tobacco products.
Chairman Clements.
And is that even legal to do in the state of Tennessee, to sell those with a vaccine in them?
You're recognized.
Well, I'm not arguing that point. What I'm saying is there is no law deeming those that when you go into a grocery store, you should know as a consumer, this head of lettuce is a head of lettuce. The head of lettuce right next to it could contain a vaccine in it. All we're saying is if it does have the vaccine in it, make sure it's listed as a pharmaceutical so people can get the proper dosage.
You're recognized.
Thank you. Well, my question is right now, can you walk into a grocery store and there be a head of lettuce for sale that has a vaccine in it? I don't think that's allowed under state law presently. And if it is, and you have to list it as a pharmaceutical, are we going to then have Walgreens pharmacists with a refrigerated section? I mean, how's this going to play out?
So what does the WEF Partnership Against Cybercrime want? They're very open that they want a regulated internet. So essentially what this public-private partnership that the WEF is pushing for is for every person's access to the internet to be tied to a digital ID. And the goal of that, of course, if your ID is linked to your internet access, intelligence agencies know exactly what media you are consuming in terms of, what you read and also what you post online. And that has been the goal for a very, very long time. So people aren't necessarily going to consent to that unless they are made to believe that anonymity and privacy online are dangerous. So how exactly can you convince people that that needs to happen? Well, you have some sort of event where anonymous hackers do something online that causes major disruption globally, and then the consent can be manufactured through fear and panic, as is often done, that anonymity and privacy needs to be eliminated, that we need to know exactly who is doing what online to prevent a calamity of that scale from ever happening again. And this is the exact solution that these guys have been cooking for a very long time.
One of my missions is to turn on its head the idea that carbon dioxide is a pollutant and somehow dangerous, when in fact it is the most important nutrient for all life on Earth, and without it this would be a dead planet. So I say not only is carbon dioxide good, it is essential, and it's a good thing that we are putting some more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere because it was running low before we came along. If we had definitive proof that CO2 was causing serious problems and we could prove it, don't you think they would write that down on a piece of paper somewhere so people could read it? They don't have definitive proof, period, in science. I'm a student of the philosophy and history of science, and I know that the scientific method has not been applied in such a way as to prove that carbon dioxide is causing the Earth to warm.
You think in a few years, say 50 years from now, people go, that was a really stupid period in our history when we tried to change all our energy policies to cut this gas?
I am firmly of the belief that the future will show that this whole hysteria over climate change was a complete fabrication.
Here's how to make Doritos from scratch exactly at home. First, we are going to genetically modify corn to be resistant to glyphosate so we can heavily spray it with a synthetic pesticide, even though it's classified as possible carcinogen and can destroy your gut microbiome. Now, to make them into Doritos, we're gonna need sodium hydroxide, the same stuff that's in your drain cleaner. That's gonna help loosen the holes and boost flavor. Now it's time to grind them, making our dough, our masa, and of course we're gonna add some calcium hydroxide, just like Abuelita used to make. Then we're gonna flatten them and shape into triangles. Now to make our coating, maltodextrin, MSG, disodium inosinate, yellow 5, yellow 6, red 40, and sodium phosphate. That's great for the classic texture, but not so great for your kidneys. Then we're gonna add some cheese-derived ingredients and about 20 more ultra-processed fillers and spices. Now to fry these, they are using a blend of cheap, genetically modified seed oil, but that's not it. They add to the oil TBHQ, a petroleum-derived preservative, and dimethyl polysiloxane, essentially silicone, so it doesn't bubble too much. We're gonna fry them, apply the coating, and we can't forget about a touch of silicon dioxide, because why not? Send these to your friends who are addicted to Doritos and let me know, would you eat this crap? Yes, it's disgusting.